Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to yet again another Canada India Foundation's virtual webinar speaker series. Today, we have with us our eminent Ontario Minister, Honorable Caroline Mulroney, Minister for Transportation and Francophone Affairs. Minister, we are very delighted to welcome you. Minister Mulroney is a graduate of Harvard College and New York University School of Law. Before entering politics, Minister Mulroney had a career in business and law. She got elected in 2018 and was appointed Minister of Transportation in June 2019. Since then, Minister Mulroney has been focusing on getting people where they want to go, when they want to go, and where they need to go, including historic partnerships with the City of Toronto, York Region, that will support the province of Ontario's $28.5 billion investment program in 4 new priority projects, overseeing an ambitious expansion of the GO Rail network and the development of regional transportation plans across the. Anyway, sorry about that. Guys, friends, I'm so sorry, but this is a little bit of technical glitch. We look forward to listening to you, Honorable Minister, on the current policy initiatives of the government in the transportation sector. But before we do that, I would like to invite my colleague Satish, our national convener, to briefly introduce Canada India Foundation to you as well as to the audience. Satish, please proceed.
Oh, thank you, Anil. Very good morning, a very warm welcome, Minister. And thank you, friends, for joining this morning on another Canada India Foundation's speaker series. Minister, just to give a little bit background on Canada India Foundation, it's a not-for-profit organization formed almost a decade and a half ago with the twin objectives. First, to focus on a 360-degree bilateral relation strengthening between Canada and India, which includes economically, politically, socially, as well as culturally. And the second twin objective is that over 1.6 million strong Indo-Canadian who are very accomplished and successful in the various facets of Canadian society, that how we channel their success in creating some kind of a meaningful impact in the society. So it is a voluntary run organization. We are all volunteers. And to further our mandate and objective, we've been hosting various roundtables, speaker series, various forums. And in the past, we have done various forums, including agricultural, food processing, mining, infrastructure, healthcare, higher education. And in 2021, we are planning to host yet another a big Canada-India Healthcare Summit, in which we are partnering with the UHN, and from the India side, a FICCI, another very reputable old organization of who's representing all the big corporations in India. And our focus of that forum is to discuss on biotechnology, post-COVID, artificial intelligence. Apart from that, we have been working very hard on our philanthropic arm also. So CIF has a charitable foundation as well. And we were very privileged to see you in some of our thank you meal event in the past. And our objective is to get our youth engaged on Canada-India file, and as well as work with the various policymakers, creating an impression that how Canada is important for India and how India is important for Canada. Without any further ado, we are looking forward to your exciting remarks. As sizable member of the diaspora of Indo-Canadian community is engaged into the trucking, transportation, and logistic business. And we are looking forward to your remarks this morning. Thank you once again for joining.
Well, thank you, Satish, for providing with the overview, us all with the overview of the great work that the Canada India Foundation does across Ontario and across our country. And thank you, Anil, for the very kind introduction. I'm so pleased to be with you this morning. I want to say that the work that your foundation does every day, and I've seen it firsthand, as Satish mentioned, to foster relations between Canada and India and to create opportunities for people here in Ontario is truly inspiring. And it is my pleasure to be here with all of you today to talk about our government's actions in response to the extraordinary impacts of COVID-19. I want to take a moment to thank you for everything that you've been doing over the past few months. The kindness and support that your organization has shown has helped the most vulnerable and the most in need during the COVID-19 outbreak, and it's been truly touching. I recently, as Satish said, had the honor of joining your team to deliver some delicious meals to our courageous frontline healthcare workers who have been working tirelessly to care for Ontarians throughout the pandemic. And I saw firsthand what it meant to people. Frontline healthcare workers were stopping and thanking your volunteers for taking time to provide them with warm, delicious meals as they were going into work or coming off a shift. And it meant so much to them that you thought of them and organized your group to provide them with those meals and took time from your day to do that. So thank you. Your compassion and your generosity demonstrates the Ontario spirit. And this spirit is what will help us through these difficult times. This webinar series is a valuable chance to share information and continue critical conversations on how we can support transit and transportation during these unprecedented times. Because COVID-19 represents a significant threat to our health and our economy. It's one of the greatest threats that we've faced in our lifetime. By working together and pooling our collective skills and knowledge, I know that we will do whatever it takes to protect our community's health while protecting our province's economy. Our government is listening and we are acting. And today I will talk about the challenges facing Ontario's transportation system because of COVID-19 and the actions that our government is taking to overcome them. We will take every action to support the province's recovery while building our vision for an optimized, efficient, and sustainable transportation network that serves us today and for generations to come. Transportation is an essential element of everyday life, facilitating important social and economic outcomes. Before COVID-19, spending on transportation represented the third largest household expense in Ontario. Transit is also a vital service, with more than 40% of all transit trips being work-related. And more than 52% of all Canadian U.S. merchandise trade, all Canadian U.S. merchandise trade, which is about $385 billion annually, travels through Ontario's transportation system. More than 73% of the trade that travels through Ontario is delivered through our roads and our highways. We see transportation as a significant employer and an economic enabler that will be foundational to most sectors' recovery once we've won the battle against this deadly virus. Transportation services and infrastructure connect people to jobs, services, and their families and their friends. They ensure that our goods get to market both locally and abroad. Ontario's modern, efficient transportation network is the lifeblood of our economy and makes possible the high quality of life that we all enjoy. But these past few months have not been easy. This outbreak has pushed families, communities, and businesses into uncharted territory. Every corner of our economy has felt the enormous economic impacts of COVID-19, and the province's transportation sector has been hit as hard as any. All levels of government and our private sector partners are working together to stimulate the economy and to address people's safety concerns. Ontario's construction industry has also expressed concerns about their workforce's health and safety and the uncertainty surrounding a global pandemic. Our transportation, freight, and transit providers have seen the emergence of new and changing travel patterns, presenting many new challenges. Ontario's 110 municipal transit agencies are experiencing low ridership levels and higher operating costs, resulting in significant revenue losses. As tough as the pandemic has been in Ontario, these startling trends require swift actions to ensure that we can continue to safely and gradually reopen our economy. On March 17th, based on the Chief Medical Officer of Health's advice, the province declared a state of emergency to stop the spread of COVID-19 and to protect the public. Ontarians leapt into action, joining our fight to stop the spread of this deadly virus by staying home and practicing physical distancing. Through all of this, our frontline heroes, our healthcare workers, grocery clerks, our truck and transit drivers, sanitation workers, cashiers, and cleaners, in a time of heightened personal risk, showed up to work each day to make sure Ontarians had the supplies and the services that they need. Now, as we continue to reopen the province's economy gradually, our top priority remains protecting people's health and safety and supporting our communities as we do everything we can to contain and defeat this deadly virus. From the start of this outbreak, our government took swift action to respond to the pandemic's immediate challenges. We supported safe transit operations through guidance, funding, and enhanced cleaning measures. We continue to support Ontario's truck drivers by keeping en route facilities open and facilitating the delivery of goods through critical regulatory measures. We launched a pilot program to provide increased access to COVID-19 testing for truck drivers through a partnership with DriverCheck. We employed fiscal support and regulatory relief to maintain essential passenger services. We provided relief on service fees, extended certain expiry dates of ministry products, and took steps to enhance key provincial services. And we maintain ongoing dialogue with many different industries to address their concerns and advance Ontario's capital programs and other sectors. Today, I want to take a more in-depth look at the actions we've taken to tackle the enormous challenges brought on by COVID-19. This outbreak has hit Ontario's public transit systems hard, and most are experiencing rapidly declining ridership levels, and as a result, a significant decline in fare box revenue. And as we move forward with Ontario's economic recovery, every station, bus, streetcar, and train needs extra attention to keep commuters and transit staff safe and healthy. That's why we are doing everything we can, everything in our power, to protect everyone who is returning to public transit as Ontario gradually reopens. As kids return to school and parents get back to work, we're committed to supporting people, businesses, and transit systems with the information that they need so that everyone can get where they need to go. By ensuring passengers and transit operators exercise proper health and safety precautions, we are confident that people can feel safe on their daily commute. Across Ontario, transit providers are working hard to protect staff and passengers. And we're working closely with Metrolinx to be a leader on that front. Metrolinx has increased the frequency of deep cleaning at all work locations, stations, trains, and buses. They've also taken enhanced safety measures by installing seat dividers on GO trains and buses and providing hand sanitizer dispensers on every GO bus and at every GO Transit and Up Express station that passengers have access to it at the beginning and at the end of their journey. Metrolinx has also introduced new health and safety kiosks at several GO stations that provide information on how to stay safe on their commute. These kiosks even allow passengers to get their temperature checked. These measures follow our government's comprehensive safety guidance for public transit systems and passengers that we released in June. And this guidance, developed in consultation with public health and transit officials, provides transit systems with the information that they need to help protect employees and passengers during the COVID-19 outbreak. We know that implementing these enhanced cleaning, disinfecting, and protection measures come at a cost. And that's why we've partnered with the federal government to provide up to $2 billion to Ontario's 110 municipal transit systems as part of the Safe Restart Agreement. In the first phase of this agreement, we will provide over $660 million for immediate relief to cover costs due to COVID-19. This funding, in addition to the additional $15 million we've already committed to municipalities for their transit systems enhanced cleaning. Transit operators across our province have done an incredible job ensuring that people who need to get around, including our frontline workers, have a safe and reliable transit service during the outbreak. And this funding will help ensure that transit services continue to get people where they need to go as our province reopens and people return to work. These times have shown us more than ever that flexibility is critical for all governments, and we know that it will continue to be necessary as we move forward. As we continue to reopen our economy safely, we will use every tool available to help Ontario's municipalities recover. When this outbreak hit, my colleagues, MPPs Deepak Anand and Amarjot Sandhu, shared photos with me of the signs that some businesses had posted, denying truck drivers the use of their facilities, the facilities that they needed to keep doing their jobs and to stay safe and healthy. I heard too many of these stories from truck drivers who told me of the barriers that they faced traveling across the country to deliver the supplies that Ontarians need to put food on their tables and to keep our supply chain strong. While businesses welcome their services, their basic human needs, including the use of washrooms, were not being accommodated. Throughout this crisis, Ontario's truck drivers have stepped up and are working harder than ever to keep our shelves stocked and our supply chain secure. These people are true heroes who deserve our gratitude, respect, and our best efforts to help them do the important work that they do. And that's why our government took immediate action to ensure that this industry has the support that they need to keep goods flowing efficiently and safely during this outbreak. The hard work and the dedication of Ontario's truck drivers are why our food supply chain remains one of the strongest in the world. They work long hours, day and night, delivering food and equipment and other essential supplies that families need. We're doing everything in our power to provide them with the support that they need to keep doing their job in an increasingly challenging environment. Our government has temporarily lifted holiday long weekend travel restrictions for long combination vehicles, making it easier for the trucking industry to provide Ontario's people with the essential goods that they need. We've also temporarily lifted reduced load period restrictions in Southern Ontario to help the trucking industry move the essential goods that Ontarians need, including food and agricultural products, medical supplies, and fuel. And until September 2021, we have made 24-hour delivery of goods possible without municipal noise bylaw restrictions to give truckers more flexibility. We've ensured that parking and washrooms are available at all 23 en route travel plazas. Plus, we've added more parking and washroom facilities at truck inspection stations, truck lay-bys, and rest areas. And a new trucker mode and app for Ontario 511 easily allows drivers to find those spots on our interactive map, plus information about truck-friendly restaurants, takeout and vegetarian options, washrooms, and more. I know that there's always more that we can do to support our truck drivers and operators. That's why we continue to maintain an open dialogue to ensure that these hardworking men and women have access to the resources and information that they need to keep doing their job. Only by working together can we help our truck drivers be safe and healthy when they're on the road. We recognize the different ways that this pandemic has impacted smaller and rural communities across the province. Indigenous communities in particular face many unique challenges in tackling this outbreak. Our government's strategic investments in infrastructure aim to meet the specific needs of rural and northern Ontario municipalities and Indigenous communities to strengthen their local economies. We continue to work closely with Indigenous leaders and make critical investments to ensure Indigenous people and communities have the necessary tools and support to stop the spread of COVID-19. That's why, as part of Ontario's action plan to respond to COVID-19, we invested $37 million to support outbreak planning, prevention, and mitigation efforts to ensure the health and well-being of Indigenous people and communities, particularly those in remote and far northern regions. Under our plan, we're committing $4 million to ensure continued service to remote and northern airports, enabling essential goods and services to continue reaching isolated communities. Ontario owns and operates 29 airports in Northern Ontario that support reliable air access to 27 remote First Nation communities. These airports provide a critical link to Indigenous communities, enabling shipments of essential supplies such as food, fuel, and water, and connecting essential services including healthcare, education, and social services. By providing this additional support for Ontario's remote northern airports, we can help drive local economic development and move people and goods safely and effectively across this region. No matter where they live, the people in Ontario deserve access to safe and reliable public transportation that connects them to employment opportunities, medical appointments, and other essential services. And that's why we've introduced 2 new bus routes that will connect passengers to jobs, hospitals, and other essential services in the Northwest. In May, the Ontario Northland Transportation Commission, the ONTC, began offering new intercommunity bus service from White River to Thunder Bay with an initial service of 3 return trips per week that has recently expanded to 6 days a week. The ONTC also began a new permanent bus service from Thunder Bay to Winnipeg, which recently expanded from 2 return trips per week to 6 days a week, with additional stops in Emo, Anticoken, and Fort Frances. For too long, too many have been excluded from Ontario's passenger transportation network. Our government is taking steps to fill these gaps in northwestern Ontario, connecting people and communities to essential resources and services. These routes extend the growth of our integrated transportation network that is getting Ontarians where they need to go. Over the past few months, I have been so proud to see people across the province doing their part to protect themselves, their families, their communities, and our healthcare sector. By staying home and self-isolating, we've been able to, as we say, flatten the curve. The people of Ontario can have confidence that we are doing whatever it takes to protect their health and well-being. We've taken every possible step to stop the spread of COVID-19. As part of our efforts, we extended the validity period of driving products, services, and health cards. These new regulations include extensions for driver's licenses, license plate validation, Ontario photo cards, and commercial vehicle operators registration, CVOR certificates. We also automatically extended the due dates for medical or vision reports, allowing the province's health system to focus on containing COVID-19. These changes reduced Ontarians' burdens and the need for in-person visits to Service Ontario, international registration offices, and drive test centers. They also help to promote the importance of physical distancing to contain the spread of the virus. As we see progress in our fight against COVID-19 and continue to reopen our economy gradually, people can now access more testing services as our government moves drive test centers into the 3rd phase of its reopening plan. As we continue to reopen our economy, resuming driver testing is another way that our government is helping people to get back to work. We are phasing in these services to ensure essential health and safety measures are in place at all drive test centers and that our staff and our customers are fully protected. We've also begun to implement service enhancements for CVOR and oversize overweight permits. By eliminating the outdated, inflexible, or ineffective processes, we are cutting through the red tape holding businesses back while maintaining the regulations that protect consumers, workers, and the environment. That's why we're making life easier for truck drivers and commercial carriers by launching an online renewal service for CVOR certificates. Commercial vehicle drivers can now renew their CVOR certificate online with 3 simple steps in 15 minutes or less. This new online service is part of our commitment to provide simpler, faster, and better government services. We've also begun onboarding clients to utilize our new digital offering of the auto issuance of select annual oversized overweight permit products. This new service is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and enables the automatic fulfillment and instant email delivery of these annual permit requests. We've always promised to have the backs of Ontario's workers, families, and businesses, and that's precisely what we've done. These changes lay the foundation for a more innovative and future-ready transportation network while enhancing the user's experience and addressing the immediate economic concerns. Ontario's road building industry plays a critical role in ensuring our transportation network is safe for the traveling public during this unprecedented time. As we continue to assess this situation, a top priority is the health and safety of all personnel on our construction sites. My ministry has been working very closely with industry representatives to address concerns and make practical and periodic adjustments that maintain safe working environments. By following our public health experts' advice, Ontario's construction workers have been able to return to work sites and to move forward with their work. And as we move forward, our plan will always be guided by what is best for Ontario's people and businesses. The growth and renewal of Ontario's transportation network are reinforced by our strong capital program's economic benefits. In 2020-2021, our government has committed $2.6 billion to the repair and expansion of provincial highways and bridges, including construction funding of $1.6 billion in Southern Ontario and $625 million in Northern Ontario. Transportation-related construction is vital to our economic recovery, as it is a significant driver of economic activity and a significant job creator. These smart investments are estimated to create or sustain over 17,000 direct and indirect jobs and improve the quality of life for workers, families, and small businesses across Ontario. These are well-paying jobs for skilled tradespeople, giving them a chance to flourish as Ontario continues to recover. Our government has launched a suite of initiatives that will help workers and employers in the skilled trades, including the construction sector. And we are continuing our commitment to creating jobs for people in the GTA with our continued work on our 4 priority subway projects. Construction puts people to work, increases the money spent in nearby communities, and provides Ontario with infrastructure that keeps people and essential goods moving. Ontario's highway network is the backbone of our province. Our transportation investments are a significant driver of economic growth and competitiveness, and they are the key to Ontario's future prosperity. That's why we recently passed the COVID-19 Economic Recovery Act, which will help kickstart our economy and create opportunities for businesses and jobs in every corner of our province by getting shovels in the ground faster on our major provincial highway projects. The sooner we do that, the more jobs and economic benefits we will see. We've reached a critical moment in the history of transportation and transit in the GTA and across the province. Our Made in Ontario plan for growth, renewal, and economic recovery includes measures that would make it easier and faster to build provincial highways, major transit infrastructure projects, and quality affordable housing while ensuring meaningful community consultation and input opportunities. These initiatives will create tens of thousands of new, well-paying jobs, making our roads safer, putting home ownership within the reach of many people and reducing the impacts of productivity killing congestion on the day-to-day lives of Ontarians. Think about how much time we spend in traffic, and think about how much more you could get done each day if you spent less time stuck on our congested roads and highways. And it's disappointing because I regularly hear from people who are thinking about moving away from the GTA because of the congestion and the lost time, which has just become too much to bear. And I feel it in my own family. My well-being and that of my husband are regularly tested. We have 4 children, and all of them are busy and involved in many different activities, from hockey to dance and singing. And we both spend a lot of time shuttling them back and forth. As a parent, I love the time that I spend in the car with my kids. As parents know, this is actually quality time these days. But the quality of that time diminishes quickly by the increasing traffic and congestion across the GTA. And that should not be the case. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to end years of inaction and neglect by previous governments. But if we are going to achieve this, we need to clear roadblocks and commit to doing things differently. Under Premier Ford's leadership, our government has been working very hard in collaboration with the City of Toronto and York Region to deliver on our ambitious transit expansion plans in the GTA. Our $28.5 billion new subway plan for the GTA includes the Ontario Line, the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension, the 3-stop Scarborough Subway Extension, and the Yonge North Subway Extension into York Region. Earlier this year, we passed the Building Transit Faster Act, which will expedite the planning, design, and construction process of our 4 priority rapid transit projects. This legislation is focused on streamlining project delivery so that we can eliminate roadblocks that cause unnecessary delays and deliver these major transit projects as quickly and as cost-effectively as possible. Now, anyone who has ever stood on a platform on Line 1 during a weekday rush hour knows how crucial it is to get new subways built and to get them built quickly. But our plan isn't just about building faster, it's also about building better. By getting shovels in the ground faster for these significant infrastructure projects, we put more opportunities within reach of businesses and improve the quality of life in communities across the GTA. Together with Metrolinx and Infrastructure Ontario, we are committed to working closely with the TTC, the City of Toronto, and the Region of York to do what it takes to get shovels in the ground, dig the tunnels, and get the trains into service so that we can deliver the transit options that people need. We are removing the barriers that have historically caused delays as we reopen the economy and guide Ontario back to prosperity. The COVID-19 Economic Recovery Act also contains the measures that make up our new transit-oriented communities program, which will apply to our 4 priority subway projects. The province will continue to work with Metrolinx to explore TOC opportunities for new and existing GO transit stations more broadly. The TOC Subways program, which is led by my colleague, Minister Kinga Surma, is another crucial element of our approach to building transit better and faster in the GTA. This program will provide a mix of housing, including affordable housing, retail and community amenities like daycare and recreational spaces that the current community might lack. Transit-oriented communities will increase transit ridership. It will reduce congestion and emissions and build integrated, complete communities to benefit the region. Because under our government, transportation, transit, housing, and jobs, they all go together, and we are making real progress. It's been 2 years since we announced our subway transit plan for the GTA. In that time, our government has issued the first 2 of 3 public-private partnership requests for qualifications, RFQs, to identify and qualify those who will design, build, and maintain the Ontario Line. And this past August, We also issued the request for proposals, the RFPs, to the bidders teams who are pre-qualified to advance tunneling work for the Scarborough Subway Extension and the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension projects. We are making real and measurable progress in connecting communities and families to urban growth centers and employment hubs in the GTA. But we cannot build projects of this scale alone. We need the federal government to come to the table and fund at least 40% of our 4 nationally significant transit projects. We've done great things together in the past, and I think that that's what the people of Ontario expect. All levels of government working together to improve transit and transportation. Now, certain moments define a generation, and COVID-19 is one of those moments. Now that we are in the post-peak period, we are shifting our attention from the initial response to our economy's recovery. As we navigate these uncertain times, our focus is on safely and gradually reopening our economy and providing people with the tools that they need to build a better future for themselves and their families. To do this, our government is taking action. Throughout this outbreak, we've been in regular contact with our transportation partners and stakeholders. We've also convened a ministerial advisory council, which meets regularly to assess the economic impacts of COVID-19 on the transportation sector. Many of the actions that I've outlined today are actually as a direct result of these consultations. We're getting Ontario's people and goods moving to support our economic recovery and to stimulate job creation. And as we set short and longer term priorities for Ontario's transportation network, we recognize this dynamic situation requires that everyone work closer than ever. We're jumpstarting Ontario's economic engine by getting critical infrastructure projects built, attracting more jobs and investments, and supporting our municipal and Indigenous partners to help businesses thrive. And as we take these next steps, our efforts will lead the recovery efforts in the transportation sector, and our actions will drive the long-term transformation of mobility in this province. We will connect people to jobs and services by supporting transit and by enhancing the user's experience. We will keep Ontario's supply chain working and address known bottlenecks, removing barriers to technology adoption and support the automotive sector. We will also continue to build transportation infrastructure and look to the future when planning our province's transportation needs. And we will continue to make it easier for drivers and businesses to access frontline services through the digitization and streamlining of these services to modernize the way government does business. The pandemic has been a challenging time for Ontario's residents and our businesses. But as we look to the future, we have an opportunity to reimagine mobility, to optimize our transportation system, and to support the long-term resiliency of all sectors of the economy. We cannot return to the pre-pandemic status quo. We must push to innovate and make Ontario's transportation sector more resilient. Unfortunately, the battle against COVID-19 continues for Ontario's residents and businesses. But I know that Ontario will emerge from COVID-19 stronger than ever. This unprecedented moment in history presents us with a chance to reimagine a future where we all enjoy the benefits of an improved transportation network that better connects people and gets them where they need to go. Once we beat this pandemic, we must push to build a better, more resilient, more competitive network that genuinely enhances our mobility, no matter where you live. I want to thank the Canada-India Foundation for hosting this webinar series and giving me a chance to discuss our government's plan to defeat COVID-19 and to build a better future for Ontario's people. Every action that we take, every dollar that we spend will save lives and save jobs, and it's money well spent, because your success is Ontario's success. Thank you very much.
Very well said and spoken, Minister. Very well spoken. Thank you. You covered the amount of questions I have received are probably in the range of about 15 or 16 that I can see right here. But most of them have been answered by you already, right? Because you already spoke about it. But there are a few where, which I'm sure you would not mind answering it. One of the things is, about the cost. We talked about getting involved into so many different development plans and infrastructure projects on subways and etc. But what somebody has asked me is that the current Presto card is amongst the most expensive in the world. So unless the public transport costs are brought down to the level that low and middle class income sections of the population can afford it, won't people continue to rely more on the cars, which means create more congestion and traffic on the roads?
Well, Presto is a system that's used by 11 of Ontario's transit systems in the GTHA, so in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area and Ottawa. And Presto allows people to move seamlessly across different transit systems from one system to another, and from bus to train to streetcar and subways. Obviously, we are looking at ways to continue to modernize the Presto system. The Presto card costs $6. It's actually consistent with what some other transit systems charge themselves. So in the UK, in London, their card costs about £5, and it's non-refundable, just as the Presto card is. But we believe that developing an efficient and modern payment system is key to our modernization plans for our integrated subway and transit network. And so we are looking at ways to modernize our Presto system. There's a lot of, as I said in my remarks, we had a lot to do pre-COVID in terms of modernizing our system. COVID created many, many challenges that we are working on addressing, but it also created some opportunities. And one of the things that I learned from the work that I did with my Ministerial Advisory Council that had a number of people from different transportation sectors providing recommendations to our government was that we should really enhance the way government adopts technology. And technology adoption is not always easy for governments. We're not as quick to respond as the private sector is. But looking around the world to see how they are, how their card system can be used to respond to some of the challenges created by COVID for public transit systems is one of the recommendations that the council made, and it's one of the things that Metrolinx will be looking at as we roll out enhancements of the Presto card.
Thank you very much. Another question which has just popped up is, can you somehow control this outrageous Highway 407 per kilometer charges?
Well, right after I was appointed Minister of Transportation, I think that's one of the first questions I got. But obviously, it's run by a private company, and so we understand the challenges. I know though that immediately at the beginning of the pandemic, 407 ETR worked immediately to try to freeze their increases. And those are the kinds of things that we did as well. So there's nothing I can do directly on that file, but finding ways that the government of Ontario can respond to the pandemic and making life more affordable by freezing fees, by extending the validity of driver's licenses and commercial carrier products, by freezing toll increases. Those are the things that we did immediately because we knew how difficult this pandemic was for people, and we wanted to make things easier, make life more affordable, and find ways to continue to keep Ontarians safe.
Minister, thank you once again. You spoke about air transportation. You talked about subways. You talked about the Metrolinx. You talked about the buses and the road transportation. You also talked about spending quality time with your children in the traffic jam. I have grandchildren, and if I am sitting with them, or rather if they are sitting behind me, They're going to drive me nuts if I'm going to sit inside that car. There is no quality time there. How do you eliminate the traffic jams, the congestion that we have on the GTA roads, more specifically on the QEW and the Gardner?
The way we address the GTA is an attractive location for so many people around the world. We are we'll welcome millions of new people in the next 10 years to the GTA, to Peel region, across our area. And that's great. That's great for our economic development, but it does create additional pressure on already congested roads and highways. You know, we have an infrastructure deficit on the subway side, on the transit side. We've had it for years. You look at other world-class cities and they have fully developed transit plans. But that's why our plan to addressing congestion is multi-pronged. It involves improving the quality of our roads and highways, expanding our highways, adding new transportation networks and corridors in the GTA and elsewhere, and also building subways to get people out of their cars and onto subways. But to do that, we needed to change the way governments have traditionally built both highways and subways by finding accelerating authorities so that we can move these projects along more quickly with municipal permitting agencies, with Metrolinx, with some of the other roadblocks. Sorry, the pun, there are a lot of puns in transportation. But eliminating some of the roadblocks, political and red tape roadblocks that make it a lot harder to get these transit systems built. And that's why we have to look at all of these solutions together so that when you're in the car with your grandchildren, which you will continue to be, time will be more enjoyable. Maybe you'll spend less time in the car. You will spend time with the car, but you won't be angry and developing road rage as so many people do. But it is unfortunate, but we are trying to address it. And the Building Transit Faster Act that I referenced, Bill 171.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say it was key because people talk about building transit and building highways faster, but the province really needed to bring in these specific authorities so that we could actually get the projects started moving faster, get shovels in the ground so that we can make real meaningful progress on these projects.
Minister, you did a very good job on that part, but we are ignoring one basic fact. See, building roads is expensive, building subways is expensive, and they're all time consuming. But we have a fantastic, Ontario is a state province where we have so much water. Why don't we think about using waterways? If only from Niagara Falls to Oakville or Hamilton to Mississauga and downtown Toronto, if we have the ferries running, 90% of the cars coming out from that QEW and that whole section will be diminished. Hasn't anybody thought about it? Has the government even thinking on that grounds?
Well, we run a number of ferries across the province of Ontario to carry people back and forth, but also to carry goods back and forth. Our waterways are mostly governed by the federal government. And there's a significant amount of trade that occurs between the United States and Canada that comes in through our waterways. But you're right, these are things that we can look at trying to enhance. But in terms of getting people off the roads and onto ferries, I think that people, I don't know about you, but the people I know like driving their cars. And so we've got to change the way people think about how they get themselves around. And one of the jobs the government can do is to provide the infrastructure so that it's there, so have ferry service, and letting people know how easy it is for them to use.
But even the cars can be brought on the ferries.
Yes.
The trucks can be brought on the ferries.
Yes, and we do that. That is the case. And throughout the pandemic, one of the challenges we had is trying to make sure that cars and people who typically take our ferries could socially distance in these more confined spaces. But ferry service resumed almost more, now up to, not to pre-COVID levels, but using those physical distancing guidelines and following the new health and safety protocols. But people are continuing to use our ferries.
Wonderful. Another question has just come. Surprised. No plans to improve intercity rapid rail services for passenger and goods. We're talking about within GTA, but not about the intercity.
You know, we have a significant plan to enhance commuter rail traffic. Not to enhance the traffic, but to improve the service. Our Go Rail expansion plan, which is something that Metrolinx has been working on and has talked about quite a lot, involves getting to two-way all-day Go service on core segments of the Go network, which will improve people's mobility. It will cut down commuter times. It will cut emissions, and it will make life a lot easier for people who live in the city, but also outside of the city. And one of the things that I've learned, I've been hearing a lot more as the result of the pandemic, is that, I'm sure you've heard this, is that people who live in densely populated urban areas are now looking to get out. And real estate in some of our more rural areas is quite hot and people are looking to get out, but their jobs are still here. And as their employers will be bringing them back to work, they'll be commuting, more and more people will be commuting in. And that's why our Go Rail expansion plan is more important now than it ever was before. One of the key corridors that we've been working on is the Kitchener-Waterloo corridor. There's a significant economic development opportunities, there's significant employment opportunity there, and people are living in Toronto and working there and vice versa. And so we are trying to make sure that we're able to deliver service enhancements along that corridor to provide employment opportunities and economic development opportunities for those municipalities. So that's one area where we're focused, but the plan applies along all core segments of our network.
Okay, thank you. This big move under Metrolinx's ambitious program to interconnect the GTA, is it on track?
Is the question with respect to the subway plan?
The Metrolinx timeline.
Our timeline. So COVID had a big impact on our economy. It had a big impact on our government, how our government's been operating. We, as I said, we've been focused on immediate responses to the needs across the transportation sector. But it did not slow down our plans for building out our 4 priority transit projects. As I said, we issued the RFPs, we've issued the RFQs. We are continuing to move forward with our transit-oriented communities program. So while COVID has had an impact on a lot of the work that we've done in terms of where our focus has been, it has not changed our focus on making sure that we deliver on our program. And as I said, it was important before, but it's even more important now. The Premier has said a number of times when he takes to the podium and does his Q&A, he often speaks about how he sees our subway program and our Go Rail expansion plan as part of our plan for Ontario's economic recovery. Not only will these subway lines and these enhanced commuter rail this commuter rail program, not only will it connect people to more employment opportunities, but the construction of these lines and the expansion of our Go Rail network will create more jobs. And so we believe that it's essential that we continue with our plan to deliver greater connectivity to people across the region.
How do you see a role of private sector in any future transportation development plans?
Well, we think that partnerships with the private sector are essential and key to our ability to deliver on our projects in a way that respects taxpayer dollars. And also it's an opportunity to bring in private sector innovation, creativity that government doesn't normally have to deliver on some of its infrastructure projects. So our subway expansion plan is one that we will deliver in conjunction with private sector partners. And we think that it's essential to being able to deliver the highest quality subways that we can.
But could that not make it more prohibitively expensive because of the private sector, like the 407, as we already talked about it?
So with respect to our subway projects, they will be operated and maintained by the municipalities. But in terms of the construction, the design, the building, the planning, there will be we believe that there are great enhancements to our program that can be provided by partnering with our private sector partners.
Excellent. Minister, I have 3 more questions, but we have only 5 more minutes. So I'm going to take whatever best we can get.
Okay.
Concerning the future hydrogen distribution outlets foreseen in Ontario. I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the question yet clearly. Concerning the future hydrogen distribution outlets, are you foreseeing that in Ontario?
I don't have a specific answer on that question. We're looking at technologies to.
So let's not talk about it. Let's go with the other one.
Okay.
Does the government have plans to increase connectivity of Southwest Ontario, like London, Chatham, and Windsor, to the GTA?
Absolutely. At the beginning of, I think, I don't remember if it was December or January, but I announced the draft transportation plan for Southwestern Ontario, which had 40 items, action items that we identified of ways to increase connectivity throughout Southwestern Ontario. And what's so important about that transportation plan is it's the first of a number of transportation plans that we will roll out across the province. But we'll have a task force that we're in the process of striking that will advise us, local decision makers, municipal leaders, transportation experts from Southwestern Ontario will advise us on what transportation solutions are needed in the Southwest. Ways that we can connect towns, villages, small areas by providing the kinds of solutions that people in Southwestern Ontario need. So it's not someone at Queen's Park coming up with a great new technology, a great new idea. It's solutions that will be developed on the ground. And those 40 action items are ones that will evolve. It's actually a living document. So it's one that we will continue to work on in conjunction with our transportation partners in Southwestern Ontario. And we're working on the same for Northern Ontario, for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, and as well, one will be developed for the entire province as a whole.
Wonderful. Thank you. Minister, I have one private personal question. And this is related to all of us and all the people involved who have children. You said you have 4 children. I don't know which area you live, so I'm not sure if the schools are open. Are you comfortable sending your children to the school?
I'm very comfortable sending my kids to school. I know that educators and boards have taken important steps to protect the health and safety of our children and of the staff in the schools. That said, I believe with our children, as with all of us, we all have a personal responsibility to keep ourselves and people around us safe and healthy. And so I speak regularly. I text them throughout the day to remind them to wear their masks and to physically distance. I have 2 girls and 2 boys, so I remind the girls especially no hugging. They were so excited to go back to school and see their friends. They had that, they missed that. And so what I talk to them about is making sure they don't get too excited, that they respect the cohort that they've been placed in. That's their new social bubble. And so we can't have friends and play dates outside of that social bubble, that cohort, because we all have to limit our social interactions, our physical interactions as much as possible. But they're excited to go back, and I'm very happy that they are back. That doesn't mean that we don't remain vigilant on making sure we all follow the protocols that we're all supposed to follow.
Thank you very much. I hope you will not mind all my questions, whatever I could get. I asked you. With having said that, we are running out in 2 minutes. So I'd like Pankaj, if you would like to say a word of thanks to the minister.
Hello. Thank you, Honorable Minister Mulroney, for giving heads up in the transportation sector with minute details how the government of Ontario is taking remarkable measures in light of COVID-19 crisis and beyond that. Minister, we all know that Ontario enjoys a special place in Canadian national and economic as well as industrial growth. Ontario, with its massive landmass and diverse nature of economic activities, it has a unique set of challenges and need to address the transportation sector that in a special way. Minister, it was delighting to acknowledge that the government has taken extraordinary care of Ontarians in all the aspects of their day-to-day life, and here, in today's context, transport sector. On behalf of Canada India Foundation, I express a huge thanks, applauding your proactive measures. We express our gratitude for sparing your valuable time in this morning. And to all participants in today's webinar, we hope that you did find it very informative and interesting. Canada India Foundation is committed to bring informative, thought-provoking sessions under the banner of CIF Speakers Series. Friends, stay tuned and continue with your valuable support to our initiatives. Honorable Minister and all participants, we wish you to remain safe and blessed. Have a wonderful day and enjoy your time ahead. Thank you.
And send your children to the school.
That's true.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Have a good
Thank you.
Bye-bye.